Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Leap Friday morning pre-market and trade plan setup for July the 18th, 2014. My name is Doug McKay. I'm the founder and head moderator of Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap is a self-organized learning environment. We have a private Skype room that we've been operating now, coming up on 5 years next month. And if you're interested in joining us and checking it out, you can give me a Skype request at Doug_McKay. I'll be the one from Windsor, Ontario, or send me an email at d.mckay@stealthtrader.com. Each morning we come together to go through my analysis and take a look at the structure of the market. We start with the macro to the micro with the key numbers and the trend, and then we get into some more in-depth chart analysis. Of course, today is Friday, and it is July options expiration, so we want to talk about that first. But before we do anything, I have to get legals done. This information is for the purpose of educating members who want to expand knowledge of the business of trading. It's not for trading or investment advice. You and only you are responsible for the trades or investment decisions made. Trading futures or any instrument involves risk loss. Please consider carefully whether futures or options are appropriate to your financial situation. Only risk capital should be used when trading futures or options. Investors can lose more than initial investment. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Any trades that you see in Quantum Leap are for education purposes only. Please trade your own plan, do your own due diligence. Okay, so before we get into the key numbers, just want to go through, it is option expiration. Last night I took a look at the open interest. Didn't do real in-depth analysis, but right now on the ES, the maximum pain for both the calls and the puts is sitting at 1950. Where are we trading right now, by the way? We are trading at 1956. Oh, we're above the month open. That's good. But the maximum open interest is 1950 at roughly 25,600 open interest contracts on both the put and the call side. A close second and third is 1960 at 24.4 and 1970 at 22.3. So, you know, if they're looking to cause the max pain, it's going to be between 1950 and 1970. The highest open interest in calls is up at 2,000. No surprise there. 27,000. The highest open interest on the puts is down at 1,900 for 30,000. So I mean, not likely. You know, all those puts and calls, sellers are all going to get paid there. On the Russell, the highest open interest is 1130 at roughly 18.4, with the second and third coming at 1140 at 18.2 and 1150 at 17. So should be interesting. The highest puts open interest is 1085, and the highest call open interest is 1190. So again, we've got a pretty wide spread on the puts and calls, but the max pain on the ES is going to be between 1950 and 1970, and on the Russell between 1130 and 1150. So just got to pay attention to those things, because they're likely going to try to pin it somewhere and cause pain. So I'm looking for, my main hypothesis is we should get a rotation up, but we do have some, issues with the fact that we've got this headline news and how the RTH session is going to handle that news and absorb it on the open. So let's go and just take a quick look. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the numbers today. We've got year open, the year high and the month high up at 1978.25. We've been up to 1978. Yesterday we had a high of 1976. This is a week high. I still think that we are not done to the upside. Of course, we have the month open at 1954.50. This would be a key line that I'd be watching today because, above it we're in a bull market for the month, and below it we have a bear month. And, if we can stay above it, the bulls stay in control and we can get continuation. Now we did get that down move yesterday, and we got all the way down to 1942.50. Well, if you all remember what 1942.50 is, that's that naked microcomposite VPOC. Now we did it in the Globex. All right, so this is going to be something we're going to be talking about earlier or a little bit later. Nothing else in the macro numbers. Going into the intraday, we opened at 71.25 in the Globex going into yesterday, had a high of 72.75, low of 61.50, and then we opened auction outer range at 68.50. And we had a pretty tight, opening rotation, 69.75 to 68. It should have been a clue that we had that we were going to get vertical development. Unfortunately, I thought the vertical development was going to be the upside, but once we broke a couple of key levels, I was able to, the reason why. And I'm just going to bring this up because this is probably a good thing to look at. So here's our chart from yesterday, and these are the levels. And a lot of people ask me, well, why do you have, if your hypothesis is one thing, why do you have, all these trade levels that are outside of your hypothesis? Well, because if you don't think about what could possibly happen before it happens, then you got to be thinking about it as it's happening. If you have to think about, what to do as it's happening, then you can, you have an issue. Now, we opened up just outside of range below, and our main hypothesis is we got back inside of yesterday's range. We would rotate up, and we would go in and test the upper side of take out the naked VPOC, the naked close, and take out the value area and test that for a destination play. That played out beautifully. Okay, then we get a rotation back down to the value area low, nothing big coming back down. At this point in time, we have not had a close below the VWAP. Okay, and we had a very small market on open, so we had an open, tight opening swing. So based on the auction logic clues that I have everybody, go through the seven questions. We opened auction out of range. We opened auction out of value. We had a open auction out of range. We did not get a close above and below the VWAP. We did, so everything was pointing to a perfect day of going up and making all-time new highs. Now, like anything, you can get binary events, and we had a binary event yesterday. In fact, right up until this time, when we got this triple top, I thought the rotation back down, to the VWAP and a bounce off the VWAP to go up and break that weak high, the triple top on the initial balance was a perfect trade setup. Unfortunately, this is right when the news started coming in, okay, about the jets being downed in Ukraine, and then anytime you get new stimuli, new information coming in, the market can get revalued, and we have to start thinking in terms of our secondary hypothesis. So right up until the time we got down to the prior day range and into this trade zone here, I was really thinking that I thought the news was being accepted and it wasn't going to be major, but of course, we continued through down to the second trade area and all the way down to the overnight low, and basically, hit the overnight low, to the tick, and then rotated back up, and they tried to get back up into yesterday's range. They couldn't, came down, broke that low, went down to our first level, which was at CHVN at 59. Had a nice Mr. Sneaky here, and then we rotated back up, and it was looking at that point in time, okay, the worst is over, and of course then we finally start hearing stories about Israel going into Gaza, and then that just threw fire on threw gasoline on the fire, and basically we just started selling off and selling off and selling off right through. We didn't quite hit that. I said if we broke that 56.50 level, we'd likely go down to 47.75. We didn't quite get to 47.5. They found a little bit of buyers down at 49, rotated back up in around that 1952.75. Remember with that 1952.75 is that was the most accepted price prior to the breakout of the balance below us. So it was no surprise that we came back up here on the close and kind of chopped around there, and then we closed at 1954. Then we had a big sell-off again overnight, and I was saying that we were likely to go down further in the Globex. Anyway. That's why, and the same thing with we can do the same thing with the Russell. Sorry, I'll just bring this up and bring the Russell up. And the Russell, is a little bit of a different story. It was kind of leading all day, and we got all the way down to that trade area at 1126.75, and then of course we broke that. And I thought with that break we were going to actually get a move down to the 1120 area, but they kind of stalled out at 1123.80. So looking at the intraday numbers, you can see everything was red, but it's a binary event, so we have to put it into perspective that way and see if the auction, if the RTH participants accept that news and absorb it and have no more further panic selling. Our value area high was lower. Value area was lower, the high at 75, low at 60. Today we got news that we just had the Canadian Core and Canadian Wholesale, nothing big. The big one will be today at 8:55 Central, 9:55 Eastern, which is the preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. And of course, remember this is a subscription-based service. Sometimes this news gets leaked out early. And then we've got leading index at 9. So you do have some scheduled news today, but again, the big thing is going to be the headline news. Based on current trading action, our high in the Globex is 58.75. It is our full session high so far, and our full session low is down at that 1942.50. So our 20-day ATR targets to the upside is 1955.56 area, and our ATR target to the downside is 1945.25. But because of the binary event, I wouldn't put a lot of faith in these levels. I think you really got to look at the range from yesterday in that 42.50 overnight. There's a couple of key LVNs and CLVNs that we want to pay attention to as well. So just going over to looking at the macro, of course the trend is intact on the monthly, it's intact on the weekly. We came down. We did not violate the trend yesterday. We tested the 9 EMA. Trend is very much intact on the weekly. On the daily, got a little bit of weakness showing here, but again, this is a binary event, and it'll be the key will be what happens today. And if we get back above the 9 and the 20, we can discount this as a binary event, and the trend remains intact. But we have to pay attention. That is a possibility that we have, a little bit of weakness coming in on the daily. Going over the geometric chart, I added a downward sloping fork yesterday. We were talking about this upward sloping fork, and if we, broke the lower line of the short-term upward sloping fork, that we are likely to come down and test the center line of the downward sloping fork. We did. Right now we're trading above the center line of the downward sloping fork and the lower line of the short-term upward sloping fork. This would be a key point that I'll be watching today, this 1961.46. It's really 1961 1/4. I'll show it to you on the composite chart. But if we can get above that, I'd be looking for a move to test the upper line again of the downward sloping fork at that 1971 area, and that's a CHVN on the composite chart. And then if we are lucky and we get a nice rally today, we could rally up to this energy point, which is due today, and that energy point takes us up to all-time new highs in 1985. Of course, that cup and handle that we've been watching with that measured move up at 82 and a quarter has been violated because we broke below the 61.8, 52, 75 area. So that pattern is no longer in effect. If we reject this line here and come back and test the center line of the downward sloping fork, that takes us down into the 1951, 52 area, and a break below that could bring us down into, we have an energy point, for the lower side down here at 29. It's really 1930 area that I'm watching down there. But we have to wait and see. Just looking at the intraday trends, which I think are more important today for us to see coming into the marketplace. We just closed a tech gap, FUBAR tech gap, and on the 4-hour came up and testing the 9 EMA from below, but we have not gotten above that. So resistance right here on the 4-hour is going to be that 1958 area. On the 30-minute, but we do have the start of a downward trend on the 4-hour. On the 30-minute, a little bit of a different story. We had the downward trend overnight. We had a tech gap. We closed that tech gap, got above the 9, then we got above the 20, and we've been basically trending up. It's not a real strong trend, but it is an upward trend on the 30-minute coming into the RTH session. Going down into the 5-minute, oops. 5 minutes, no trend, just basically consolidation. Had a bit of a trend going, put a technical gap in, close the technical gap, and then we've just been going sideways. So let's go right over to the composite and take a look at the big picture. Of course, in the last 5 days, in the last 3 days, we've been trading inside of this, this microcomposite with the microcomposite VPOC in around that 71 CHVN. And then yesterday's news, we fell out and came all the way down into this, this distribution around 52.75, and pushed through almost all the way down to that 47.75. But overnight, we went down and reset. If we got below this 51 area, that we'd likely rotate down to this 42.75 to pick up buyers. And we didn't do it in the RTH session, but we did go down and hit that 42.75. Our overnight low is actually right at what was it at? Our overnight low was 42.50, so one tick beyond the microcomposite. Currently, right now, we're above the month open at 54. Our close was at 54, so we are in a bullish month. We've got a key level right here we want to try to hold, which is this 1956.50, the CLVN, and hopefully we can get continuation back up towards this 1959 and get above this 1960. If we can get above this 1960, this 1960 was that 1961 and a quarter, but got shifted with the move. Overall, the larger microcomposite going back, and I can even take it out to here, which is where it should be, the most accepted price is that 52. So just keep in mind that real balance within this area is the 52. But I'm bringing it in closer because what I'm watching is I'm watching the value area low at this 53. And I know it's the CHVN and the microcomposite VPOC for the longer term, but I'm using it as a value area because we really only poked down here, and So I'm considering value in this distribution zone to be in around this 52, 53. And then if we get below this, then I'm looking for a test of that value area to move back down to, of course, that 52.75 microcomposite form of VPOC and the CHVN with a push to 51. And then if we get below that, I've got some levels I'll show you on when we get to the intraday. But if we can stay above this 56, then I think we're going to rotate up in this value up to 59 and possibly the 50% midpoint. I don't have it marked down, but it'll be on my chart. Where is it? It is at 62.50, and that's right at the value area low from yesterday. So let's take a look at it in terms of the overnight. All right, so our overnight high is up at 58.75. Our overnight low is all the way down there at 42.50. Our current VPOC, which is not likely to change, is 1954.75, which happens to be basically 3 ticks above the close and 1 tick above the month open. So this is going to be a key level. Now, right here we have this LVN, okay, at 1957.75. So I'm going to be looking at this 57.75 as an area to do business, because right now we're going to open up in this lower distribution, and we're likely to go down and take out the naked close at 54 and test the month high. So it's going to be choppy inside of this lower distribution. It's really doesn't give me any real sense of what's going to happen longer term into the market until I get above this 57.75. Above the 57.75, I'm above the 56. Okay, CLVN 56.50, and I've got the overnight high at 58.75. This gives me a nice trade, into the 96% probability of taking out the overnight high, and a push up to test the value area low here at 62, and test what I consider to be a significant breakout candle. I always look for the 50% retracement of a significant breakout candle, and that happens to be at 62.50, which also happens to be right at the value area low from yesterday. So I will be using that. My target, of course, is going to be, with the break, is going to be getting in, getting funded before the overnight high, and then with a continuation up through to test the midpoint and the value area. If we get back inside of value and the rally continues and we take back this binary event, obviously the first target above is going to be well, you got a couple targets above, but they're not really big. You've got this HVN right here at 64. I would be targeting that just to get in and get funded here. But really, you're looking for a move to come up and take out this naked VPOC at 66.50. Is it 66.50 or 66.75? 66.50. You got a little bit of minor resistance right here, but keep in mind that the overall microcomposite VPOC is up here at the 67.50, and so I'd really be targeting that 67.50, which is just going to be below yesterday's low. So 67.50 becomes the target, and of course you're going to front run that into the VPOC. Just on the other side of that is that 1970 CLVN. So I'd be looking at possible responsive sellers stepping in here. At this point in time, if we get up in this area, I'm not expecting a lot of resistance, but we've got to pay attention to our levels. So I'm going to be watching this 1970. You know, above that you've got that 71, but again, I don't think the 71 is going to be it. I think they're going to go, and we're inside. We've got an 80% destination play, and I'd be looking for a move up to test the value area high up here at 1974.50. You got a little minor target below at 73.50. Yes, Howard?
Yeah, Doug, I have different value area low than you do. I have it at 60.
Well, let me just let me do a download here. We'll do a download before I finish, just to check it out. You've got it at 60, and I've got it at 62.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Maybe I've got a little bit of a data issue. Let me just do a quick data download. While I'm doing that, I'm just going to bring up my hypothesis for the Russell. Apologize. Sometimes I get a little bit of a data lag while I'm running so many things. So this is, of course, I put my hypothesis for the Russell together already and posted it. I have to do that because I do it for Stealth Trader, and I need to do it before I start. So we had lots of headlines news yesterday, rotated down in the Russell. We went from high at the RTH at 47.70 all the way down to the low of the RTH at 1126.90, and we closed near the lows at 1128.90. Overnight, we continued further down, and we found a lot of buyers at 1123.80, but since then we've gained back some and gotten above the RTH close and currently trading at 1130.40. Due to headline news, we have to look at this binary event. Overnight, participants have found the value at the Globex volume point of control at 1128.10, which is right below yesterday's close at 1128.90. Inventory overnight is somewhat neutral, even with the bad news. We're currently trading at 1130.50, which is in the lower distribution of yesterday between the RTH low of 1126.90 and a key LVN at 1132.50, which separates the upper and the lower distribution. Value is still left above at the volume point of control, up at 1143.60. If we open up here inside of range but outside of value, look for the naked close to get taken out at 1128.90 on the open, and value left above. We don't know how the RTH participants are going to react. We've reached a key support line. Remember, I said if we broke that 1136, it was 1130. Sorry, that says 137. If we broke the 1137.50, it's now shifted down to 1136.80. We have to consider that this puts us inside of the microcomposite value area of that accumulation zone on the chart that I posted Sunday night for the weekly levels. Balance down there is down at the 1120, 1116.40. Remember, 1116.40 is our composite volume point of control going back to October the 9th, 2013. I expect to bounce off of that area, but that puts us back down in that range. So to trade that, the way I would do it is if we break below 1126.90, the first target is the overnight low, okay, which was at 1123.80. And then, of course, if we don't hold the overnight low, then I expect to move down to that 1120 and 1116. And we expect reaction there as well from some responsive buyers, but the other side, the lower side of that balance is 1112.90. And then below that, I think we get stuck in that blunt area. Again, that was all laid out on the Sunday night chart, and I'll repost that chart if somebody's looking for it. And then I expect chop in that area between 1100 and 1116. Now, there is a key level down below there, which is the microcomposite VPOC value area low of the accumulation zone down at that 1096.30 level. So we have to look of a possibility of going down there. I'm sorry, it's at 1097.80, and there's a key microcomposite VPOC just below it at 1096. But if we can hold inside of yesterday's rotation, there should be some resistance at that 1132.40. That's the LVN that separates the upper and lower distribution. But if we get a break up above that, look for a test of the value area low from yesterday, 1135.50, and then inside of that value, we've got that key level, that CLVN, and the microcomposite value area high from the accumulation area. So that, a break above that puts us outside of this value, the balance that we're in right now. And then I would look for continue up towards yesterday's VPOC at 1143.60. Of course, yesterday's midpoint is 1137.30. And then inside of that, we're back up into value and look for an 80% destination area to play out and move up to 1145.80. A break above that gives us a nice trade to the range high at 47.70. There's a naked VPOC up there as well. And then up there, we're inside the microcomposite value area of the distribution zone that we just fell out of, and the 5-day, VPOC is right up there as well. And if we accept that value, we could test 50-60 distribution value area low of there, and the 5-day volume point of control at 1152.60. I'm not looking for much more. I mean, if we can get up above there, we've got 54.60, and then that 59.10 key CHVN, and of course that 1161.50. So you are correct. The value area low. I did a download too, but I'm sorry. I'm going to put that right there. That doesn't really change any of my hypotheses. Just gives me a lower target with that break above the 57.75 area into that 60 area. Now, on the downside, on the ES, if we fail to get above this 57.75 on the open, look for them to come down and take out the naked close at 54 and test the month open at 54.50, and then anything below that, we're clearly in the lower distribution. I'd be looking for a move down towards that 49, which is our RTH low. Our first target below us is going to be that that naked close, or actually it's going to be the 54.50, the month open. Come on. Where's my drawing tool? But again, in the month open, I would expect them to push through at least down here. And then if they get below the month open, then we got to look for the possibility of continuation lower. Below 49, our first target is that 47.75. Which is the CHVN, and then you've got 44.20. You've got to be conscious of it, but I really think that if we get below again, if we can't hold the low from the RTH session, I think we're going to come back down into this 42.75, 42.50 overnight low and take that out. And the key line below us, okay, is this 1938. We don't want to breach this 1938, because if we do, it's like the Russell. I think we can see some continuation, and we've got targets down here. The first target is going to be that 1934 and 31 area. You got 34, and then you've got 31 and a quarter. And there's a fair amount of undetermined fair value around here. I've talked about this before, but the big target below is going to be this 27 and a quarter. And the reason I'm not putting, a trade area down here is you really want to stay short, okay, below 38, and because 27 and a quarter, and you've got all this undetermined fair value down here So I'm really not looking, I wouldn't be looking to try to catch a trade down here because I think you'd be trying to catch a falling knife, and that would likely be a dangerous move. I'd rather like to get in and stay short below that 38 level into those lower levels. Take a quick look at gold and then we'll wrap it up. So right now, almost eerie that we're coming into the market and we're testing this 1305, 1306 area again. Bringing today's volume in so far, the current value or volume point of control in the microcomposite is 1298, which is basically the same scenario as we had yesterday. We said if we got above this 1305, 1306 to get long into the 1315.90 with a continuation up to test that 22 area. We actually went all the way up to 25. It was a beautiful trade. And then we had a really nice, and I laid it all out for everybody, prior to it actually even happening. Which was this move right here. This is a beautiful tech gap FUBAR Mr. Sneaky. And you were asking me, Howard was asking me, well, you didn't see the FUBAR. The FUBAR was right here on the volume spike. FUBAR, tech gap, Mr. Sneaky, and then I said wait for the next bar, get your best entry, and then get short. I think the short was actually around 2140, and then we had a nice move down, and it came down and then it popped back up. But I mean, if you would have left your stop up there, you'd still be short, and we're running 1306, so that is close to a 20-point move on a one lot. That's $2,000 on a one lot. Anyway. It was a beautiful move. So right now we're currently, trading right there. Same hypothesis as yesterday. Okay, if we stay above 1305.40, get long into 1315.90 with a continuation up to test 2250, and then if we can get above that 2250, look for a continuation or break above that 2590 with first resistance coming in at that 2970 area. If we break below the 1305, then get short, get into funding the trade by 1303, 1302 even, but 1303 is where I'd want 1303.30 with a continuation to come down and test the 1300, and then anything below 1300, you got a nice target down to the 1298. But the big number I'd be watching again is that 1293, 1294 area, because that was where the composite VPOC, this composite VPOC goes all the way back to 2008. It shifted on, I think it was on this day right here, up from this 1293. So we could, if we see more weakness in gold, especially if we get a nice rally today in the indices, we could see some more weakness and we could get a rotation down to that 1293. Anyway, that's going to complete the homework session for the day. As always, trade well, trade safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.